This is my 1987 Monster Beetle that I've been restoring as part of a series of videos. And in today's final video, we're going to complete the restoration and see how much it's cost me and whether I'm going to get any of my money back for the fixes I've done. Let's get to it. Today's video is the third and final episode of a series where I've been restoring this, a 1987 vintage Monster Beetle. In the previous two episodes you saw introduction to it, and I fitted a new radio gear, electronic speed controller, a new motor, and I did some other things just to get it back into a much better condition. Since then there have been some changes. The last time you saw this it had a set of new spiked tyres on it. That came with another project. I have since sold those tyres for a reasonable price on eBay because I found a good used set of second-hand ones. Interestingly, those second-hand ones came with a spare set of wheels, which I was then able to sell on eBay because I didn't need them. I've already got 4 wheels, and effectively that was a completely cost-neutral thing. I have now 4 used tyres appropriate for the age of this model. They're not very grippy, but then this isn't going to be a sort of high-performance model anyway. The other thing that I've done since that video is that I have sold the original body shell that this came with. If you've seen episodes 1 and 2, you'll remember that this came with a Ford F-150 body shell from the Blackfoot, and that wasn't right for this chassis. This is the Monster Beetle. Although the chassis are the same, there were things on here that meant it needed to be a Monster Beetle. The yellow shocks, this piece at the back here, and so on. Again, I was able to sell that body shell on eBay, even though it was in pretty poor state, but someone wanted it to do an F-150 replica on their chassis. So that went, and also what went with it were the body posting, the body mounts that sat here. Again, they sold really well on eBay. And that I think is the important point to note about these restoration projects, is that there is a whole community of people buying these, selling these, splitting them for parts, and there's always lots of second-hand parts available in order to get your vintage model back to health and running properly. And it takes a little bit of time for the right things to turn up, but if you're patient, the right things do turn up and your model can be complete. Of course, this model doesn't look complete because obviously we are missing a body shell, but I'm very pleased to say that I also have managed to source not a replica, but a genuine vintage Monster Beetle body shell, and it's just down here. It is. Now, it isn't in the best shape. We've got a bit missing from the front here, we've got a bit missing from the back here, but when it's on the chassis, I think you'll agree, it looks infinitely better than that Blackfoot body shell that was on before, and it's absolutely appropriate with the gold wheels, this aerial at the back and this piece here. The final piece of the puzzle then was to make sure that I had the correct body mounts. The body mounts for the Blackfoot were vertical, and the body mounts for this body shell are horizontal. Thankfully, again, as mentioned, there's always somebody selling what you need, and here I have 2 body posts in order for me to fit that body shell, so we're going to fit those now. So one of the first things I want to do is just give this body shell a bit of a clean up. I mean, it's obviously a bit damaged. As I mentioned, it's missing some pieces, it's not got the front here, the sunroof is gone, and I've got some weird masking tape in here, so I'm just going to do a little bit of tidying up. But firstly, let's get rid of some of this paint. I've just got some car polish that I use for polishing the cars, but I find this really useful for getting rid of marks out of paint. And then I'm just going to give it a quick once over just to get rid of all of these things. Just taking care over the transfers, just generally tidy it up a little bit. And there we go, that's got rid of those black marks here, and it's looking a lot nicer. It's still scratched, of course, and I've got some more to do, but I'll carry on doing the rest of it and then cut back in. So that's the body shell done. It's now looking much cleaner over the top here. All those black marks are gone. It's actually been painted quite well, I think, and the stickers and transfers appear to have been applied pretty well. Just removed that masking tape under the bottom, don't know why that's there. So the next thing then is to put that to one side and then bring in our Monster Beetle, and then I need to fix these. Now, these were I think they were £5, £6 delivered. They were a bargain, but they look absolutely new. They're super shiny. I think they're probably off a kit, maybe a Blackfoot kit. I think the Blackfoot kit comes with these and you don't use them because it's a different body shell, but in great condition. I'm still going to be missing the support bar that needs to sit across here, and I'm still on the lookout for that. But for now, this means we can get the body shell mounted. So, body post in, as I mentioned, still going to be missing that beam in the middle, but okay, fine. And let's see how we look with the new second-hand body shell. So super pleased with that. That looks how it should do. Obviously still missing that bit at the front, but need to find one of those somewhere, but so much nicer than that Blackfoot body shell. Really pleased with that. So with this body shell on, I know I'm super happy with the restoration, and that, for all intents and purposes, is where I'm going to stop it. I could go after a front piece, I could go after a better body shell, but I'm going to leave it as it is, and in a moment we'll take it for a run up the road just to check that everything's working. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I was going to crunch the numbers and find out how much all this has cost and whether I'll get any money back. Now, it wasn't my plan to sell this, but always in this situation, when you're looking out for parts, things catch your eye. And my plan now has changed. So I'm actually going to be taking the radio gear out of this, the battery and the motor out of it, because I have a new Tamiya car. Let me show you what I bought. A Tamiya King Cab. Now, this was the one I always wanted. This was launched shortly after I bought a Hotshot 2 back in 1988, 89, I think. And this one dates from 1990 and it's complete, but it doesn't have a radio gear, and the radio gear from the Monster Beetle is going to have to be given up to put into this one. So Monster Beetle is going up for sale as a running chassis without radio gear, and that will enable me to see how much it sells for, and then I can do all of the numbers to find out how much, if any, money I've made in restoring it and bringing it back to full health. In the meantime though, let's go and take that Monster Beetle for a run, just check everything's working for this one final time. So it's actually a couple of weeks later. I had a problem with the battery for that test run straight after. So I've found a bit of time and here we are, we're just ready to go. Car is on. Let's zoom out here, see how we get on. I'm not going to hold the camera. I realised I can't drive these things while filming, so I'm going to have to do this from one angle here. So let's see how we get on. It's definitely a lot faster with that motor, and the speed controller's clearly doing a good job. But my battery has died again. Oh, what is wrong with this battery? I've probably only run it 3 or 4 times, but it's now kaput. Oh well, for that very short period of time, it worked really well, didn't it? Time to have a conversation with that retailer I bought it from. Oh well. So that bit of footage you've just seen was back on the 7th of December, and today is the 1st of February, so it's been just under 2 months since I last did some work on the Monster Beetle, but I'm pleased to say that in the interim it has actually sold. I listed it on Facebook Marketplace back on the 21st of December, and 9 days later, 30th, a very nice chap called Sean came and collected it and paid me £75 for it, which was what I'd asked. Now, let's look at the costs of that. I paid £50 for the model originally, and then I did some selling of some parts off it, and I bought some parts off it to replace things that were broken. And effectively, I sold out £50 worth of parts, which was the radio gear, the mechanical speed controller, and then I bought in £35 of parts, which was that second-hand body shell, those body posts, and those second-hand tyres. All in all, what that means is that I've come out with a profit, having sold it for 75 and spent that money and bought it for 50, of £40, which is a great position to be in. I mean, I didn't do it for the profit, I did it because I wanted to get back into radio control cars, but I'm really, really pleased that I've got to experience and go through that process and make a little bit of money on the side. But that isn't the end of radio control cars for me, or probably for the channel. I've mentioned the Nissan King Cab before. That's in the middle of being redone. The radio gear is now in this. I've done a quick test run. Things aren't quite working right. The notorious ball diff in the rear needs a little bit of work, so that is coming to the channel soon. And you'll also notice this, an HPI Nitro MT2. This was being given away on Facebook, so I paid £0 for this. Again, very local. I could have walked to collect it. I was on my way back, so I got it in the car, but by coincidence. I've never had Nitro before. Apparently it had not run for 10 years, and I did get it running. But it doesn't run well, and it needs a full go over, but I'll be bringing that to the channel soon. So I hope you enjoyed the Monster Beetle series. I certainly have, and it's been great to be back in the Tamiya world after 30 years or so away from it. If you've liked this video or these series of videos, do let me know. Hit that like, send me a comment, whatever you want to do, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Thanks and goodbye.